Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline Live in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching our show tonight. We appreciate you watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park, Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area, including the city of Pittsburgh, and that's Verizon 32 all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry and Wexford. Thanks again for watching us. And on our Facebook page, we hit a brand new high, 6,350 likes. Thanks for all those likes. Appreciate it. And for watching our show, too. We've got a great show coming up for you tonight. We're going to start out with What's on Your Mind. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier. And we're going to start with Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind, Smoking Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got the C. Levine. There you go.
Thank you.
And a couple things on my mind is, and I don't want to get too long-winded, and got to talk about Cuba just a little bit on my mind. I'm be going to Cuba, and Cuba's known for their cigars, so I won't be smuggling anything, but I'll be doing a lot of snuggling down there in Havana.
May I give you some advice
Yes,
from somebody?
sir.
A friend of mine just got back from Cuba about 10 days ago. Don't drink the water.
No problem there.
Don't drink ice in your drinks or nothing. Trust me.
He'll just drink
Problem
coffee.
there,
He'll drink
yeah.
coffee.
Well, there's water and coffee.
There you
right?
go.
So I'll just
See?
drink the.
They boil it, though.
Mm-hmm.
That coffee gets hot.
Well, what's on my mind, and we talked about before the show, we talked about curses. And I want to kind of show that the Pittsburgh Steelers, for 40 years or more, were cursed. And it wasn't because of poor draft picks. So I just wanted to give a little history lesson for people out there and talk about some of the Steeler picks over the years. Last week we talked about Dick Leffridge. And this week we're going to talk about somebody by the name of Bob Ferguson.
What year?
Bob Ferguson actually came to Pittsburgh Steelers in 1962.
How'd he get here?
And he actually was a running back for Ohio State University. 6'1", 220 pounds. Never lost a yard in college. That was his claim to fame. He was the NCAA Player of the Year in '61. He was the Maxwell Award winner and finished second in the Heisman to Ernie Davis, who they made a movie out of.
Yeah.
And
Syracuse University.
Syracuse University. Played in the same backfield at Ohio State with a guy they called Bob Ferguson Thunder, and they called this guy Lightning, Paul Warfield. And there was another backfield mate also by the name of Matt Snell, New York Jets.
New York Jets.
I think he
Super
was
Bowl
I
III.
think he was MVP of that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Bob Ferguson, number 5 overall. You figured he would be able to change the franchise around. Bob Ferguson lasted 1 year with the Steelers before they got rid of him. A complete bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Part of the 40-year curse. Paul Warfield went on to be a Hall of Famer, and Matt Snell made quite a name for himself with the Jets. And the best running back in that backfield, Bob Ferguson, was out of the league after a year. And that's part of the Steelers' curse.
Question for you. Ernie Davis, didn't he have another backfield mate that of some notoriety when he was at Syracuse?
No.
Did Jim Brown play?
Jim Brown, he would have played with Jim Brown. He got drafted by Jim Brown played at Syracuse, but Ernie Davis got drafted to the Cleveland Browns, and him and Jim Brown would have been in the backfield in the NFL together.
But they were in this backfield together at Syracuse?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just checking. I know they both were right around the same time.
Yeah, it was about 5-year difference.
Okay.
Thanks, Smoking Jim,
You're welcome.
on the curse of the Steelers. Very good, Smoking Jim. Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
It's on my mind. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. But yesterday I just quite a few eyebrows got raised when the Pirates made the moves they made when it became the deadline for the non-waiver trade at 4 o'clock. Kind of surprised that the Pirates made a bunch of moves. That's something that they haven't done in years past. The reason behind the moves, I totally understand. Certainly, the pitching staff has been underperforming all year. Jim, before the season started, said they had a mediocre pitching staff. I was more of the ilk that I was being optimistic. I was trying to look at the glass as being half full. And I was wrong. Jim was right. See that? That didn't hurt a bit.
I know my baseball.
But here's what's on my mind that irks me is that for the last, for 20 years, all we heard about was, all the Pilots' problems for not winning, not spending money, trading away their draft picks, trading away their prospects. And everybody blamed that 20 years of futility on Bob Nutting. And Bob Nutting was not responsible for 20 years of losing. Bob Nutting took over a franchise that was floundering after Kevin McClatchy almost ran it into the ground. But, you got to take your hat off to Kevin McClatchy because he's the one that put the PNC Park there on the north side and kept the Pirates in Pittsburgh. He couldn't successfully run the franchise once it was there. So now we've got a team that's spent the last 3 years going to the playoffs, and all of a sudden you stopped hearing all the people harping on Bob Nutting is cheap. Bob Nutting's not going to spend any money. He's not interested in winning. All he's about is making money. Well, the Pirates have spent tremendous amounts of money. They revamped their entire farm system, which is now one of the top farm systems in baseball. They brought in major league talent, 3 consecutive winning seasons where we've made the playoffs. And now all of a sudden we make some trades and everybody's screaming that this was a money dump and that Bob Nutting is making money and he doesn't care about the fans. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth. And I get sick of hearing people constantly crying, they don't spend enough money, they don't spend enough money. Here's my question to all you people that say the Pirates don't spend enough money. Give me the dollar figure that they need to spend that you will guarantee them success. And I want to know what that number is. And if they spend a dime less in it, then we can go ahead and criticize them. Now, since nobody can answer that question, I wish all of you would just be quiet because it gets weary. I get tired of hearing this. Look, the Pirates made the moves that they needed to make. The team was underperforming. Something needed to happen. The pitching staff was, the starting pitching was poor at best. We had to get rid of the weak pieces, bring in some new arms, try something different. If we would have continued to march the same people out there night in and night out, everybody would have sat there and cried about the Pirates because they won't make the necessary moves. So we make moves and people are crying because we don't spend enough money. Can we make any of you people happy? I don't think so. But that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it.
I kept that pretty clean.
You did. You did.
Because I feel a lot more strongly about it.
You were very passionate about that. I understand. You have been. All right. Olive Oil's Pizzeria. They help sponsor us. Smoking Jim just lost a finger.
No, I almost lost a finger. I almost reached over there.
You got to watch that. It was very good. Give them a call at 412-831-1900. They'll get you a pizza. Rev 'em Up for Kids was supposed to be this last Saturday, but they predicted rain. They delayed it to August 14th, and we did get all that rain early in the day. So,
yeah, they didn't predict rain. I mean, we had a monsoon.
Well, it came with a vengeance.
Yes, it
Jim
did.
Gaskeb showed an inch of water all over South Park, the infield there that they had, so it would have been quite the mess there. So we'll hold out for August 14th. We'll check that out, so stay tuned. That's at South Park Fairgrounds, August 14th, 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And Johnny Halo will be performing there. I've got the word that he will be. Now, if you have an organization that needs some money, Smoking Jim, You can get from $100 to $5,000 for this. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has funds. Chip and Jim have been kidding about it. So
we've been trying to organize ourselves here. We're working on it.
I can't wait to see the written plan that they present. I'm one of the trustees on the board, so I'll be looking forward to that.
That's why I got a Golden Quill author on my payroll.
He's a golden quill. He just hasn't been back to that neighborhood for a while. So. But on a serious note, they do have funds. Check it out. Go to bpcf.org. You can apply for money from $100 to $5,000 for your local community group in Bethel Park. So check that out. And then with Joey Fabus, I always try to show with the Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation what's going on there. Poor Joey got DIPG. It affected him, killed him in less than a year. And now they raise money for it. There's a 5K coming up at the high school in September, I think September 5th. Check that out. They had about 900 people there last year. They expect as many or more. So check it out. And we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. We'll bring that up in a little bit. What's on my mind is all of us on the board here thought there would be no Pirate trades at the deadline. And I know I was wrong. I was surprised when they kept shocking me with a couple rumors that were out there. And then when I saw what happened, I understand them dumping salaries. I understand them trading Walker for Nice, and it was a terrible trade. And they had to give him back. And now we got Bastardo. So he's back with us. So we'll give it a shot with a couple new faces and see what happens. I'm positive about it. They do have a winning record, and you have to do something. You know, they have a lot of players, a lot of talent. How do you win? We need better pitching, and we need it early. So this is one way to try it. I'm all in. I used to be a disgruntled Pirate fan. I'm not disgruntled now. Nutting has spent his money. It was a 7-year plan. It worked out. And he has a great farm system. They changed the rules in the major leagues about the minor leagues on how you can invest in players and compounds and whatever else they do. And they built up a noteworthy minor league organization, which is feeding us. Look at all the new players that have been up here in the last month. Some have gotten hurt.
11 players have made their major league debut this year for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
What is the record?
I have no idea.
Oh, that may be a trivia in the future.
I'll look it up.
So I'm all in on this Pirate bandwagon. Can't wait to see what happens with the players in the future here. And if we get some starting pitching that'll last 5 to 6 innings, I'd love to see that. So
be a step in the right direction.
That would be. And that's what's on my mind. Let's go to Fiction and Fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac. I can't wait.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And you said you were wrong. Chip said he was wrong, and I was right. So thanks again for that.
Hey, you gotta call it what it is, Jim.
So
and that's for the guy that doesn't have a clue about baseball, that just counterpunches everything he sees or hears. I know this won't be about baseball.
I'm man enough to admit I was wrong.
There you go. And my fiction.
What are you going to talk about, Fiction
I'm
and
going all the way back to
last month,
this weekend, and I tell you what, never in my lifetime did I think that I would be able to not only see the Cuban boxing team, but to see them in Pittsburgh. And it was a beautiful day. Cuba brought 11 black fighters. And
Latin American.
well, there's only 4 colors. There's white, black, red, and yellow. You're black. So anyhow.
Smoking Jim, how does the race card come out of almost everything?
I just,
we got to claim when we can. When somebody does something good, I'm claiming them, bro.
If this is your first time watching the show, he doesn't really talk about race. Yes, he does every show.
No, he does not.
He's brought it up.
But I tell you what a day. You had 2,500 fans on the bridge.
How was your seat?
My seat was outstanding, right by the ring. And
And the ring card girls.
no ring card girls. I was surprised. No ring card girls. But after the first, there was 11 scheduled bouts. After the first bout, which Greg Karma, Steve Cunningham Jr. won easily.
Did he?
Upset a Cuban, yeah. And right afterwards, they cleared the bridge for an hour and a half because of the rain. But a lot of the fans stuck around and came back. The Cuban fighters were so great. But what I didn't know was that the broadcast was televised in Cuba as well. So 6 million people in Cuba watched the boxing match, and there's only 11 million people over there. And but
so
it was,
1 out of 2 is watching the fight.
yeah, 1 out of 2. I would imagine the 2 didn't have a TV. So the ones that had TV tuned in.
I
They had how many TVs?
thought those 6 million were watching the same TV.
Well, they might have been watching the same TV. The other 2 might have been
could be.
drinking water and got sick. But
No, if you live there and you drink the water, you're fine.
you're fine.
Yeah,
That's
when
all
you
we
go
know.
there, you got to watch drinking the water.
But it was great, man. It was put on classy. Who would ever thought that, you could fight on a bridge? It actually worked out in my favor because I was concerned about going 5 hours without going to the little boys' room.
They have one next door.
They had no. What's that? Porta
Johns.
They had no porta johns on the bridge. The closest one was across from Matria's.
Get out.
So I would have had to
you
go
could have just went into
about
Andreas.
5 hours, but being that we had the delay, it worked out because I was thinking to myself,
No.
"Oh my goodness,
No.
what am I
For
going to
future
do?"
reference, Jim, one word for you: depends.
Yes, whatever that is, man.
It's diapers, buddy.
But hey, congratulations! I was proud. Just to talk about just a couple of fights, we had a number of guys on Pittsburgh Sports Line, and they all did well. And I couldn't be more prouder of Keontae Irving. He fought the number 4 fighter in the world.
Wow.
Lost the first round bad, and came back and almost stopped the guy. He fought so well in the second
He
and
must
third
have done
round.
his road work.
Well, he did his road work, but too, I think what hurt him a little bit in the first round, when guys wear dreadlocks and you get hit with them dreadlocks and them plaits is flying all around, looks like you're getting hit harder than you were, and that's what it looked like in the first round. But he got the dreadlocks in order in the second and third round, and he was actually delivering the punishment.
Nice.
And what an upset to beat the number 4 fighter in the world. So, hey, we're on our way, Team Pittsburgh. I'm all in.
That's great. Thanks, man.
I'm all in.
Nice job, everybody.
Until the next time. We shall see. Chip, what's going on with Chip's trivia time here?
Thank you, Alan. And of course, this is a first. Got baseball trivia. And I've talked time and time again about various different Major League Baseball players that had extraordinarily long and successful careers.
Right.
Some had long careers that weren't very successful. Well, July 27th, 1918, something kind of interesting happened. Brooklyn rookie Henry Heitman completed one of the shortest careers in Major League Baseball history. Heitman appeared on the mound against the St. Louis Cardinals, gave up 4 consecutive hits, then left the game, never to play a Major League game again. Didn't even record his first out.
Wow.
Walked off the mound, and he just kept right on walking.
Smoking Jim would have liked to meet that guy.
So I just thought, a little levity, why not?
Yeah, that's a good one.
People are so passionate about sports, and we are as well. But you know what? It's only sports. It's not going to, stop the sun from coming up tomorrow. You need to have a little bit of levity and laugh at the game, laugh at yourself. Why not? Also, July 27th, 1986, one of the few times in Major League Baseball history, 2 300-game winners faced each other as Don Sutton hurled 6 strong innings to outpitch Tom Terrific Seaver.
Wow.
So it does not very often the 2 300-game winners will go head-to-head.
Sure.
I also wanted to bring up something that happened back in 2011. And this was Clint Hurdle's first year as manager of the Pirates, and the Pirates were contending that year in the month of June, and we're starting to get people paying note to them. And then there came a game that happened on July the 27th, 2011, and it happened in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a 19-inning game, and Major League Baseball acknowledged that umpire Jerry Meals made the wrong call in Atlanta's 4-3 19-inning win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates filed a formal complaint. It didn't do anything to change the game, but if anybody remembers, and I do quite well, the Pirates were on a bit of a roll going up into that game. We got to that game, it was like the rug got pulled out from underneath them. It sucked the life out of the team, and pretty much they went into a free fall the rest of the season, which was part of the growing pains that they went through in 2011, 2012, before they started having the success that they had in 2013, 14, and 15. But I did want to make mention of that because every time I see Jerry Meals walk into PNC Park, I kind of wish that he would trip over first base or something and injure himself. Not that I would want to have anything to do with that, but I certainly would get a couple of good belly laughs out of it. In 1915, on July the 29th, this one again is Pittsburgh related, Honus Wagner, at 41 years of age, became the oldest player to hit a grand slam as Pittsburgh beat Brooklyn 8-2. The grand slam was an inside the park homer. Wagner remained the record holder until 1985 when Tony Perez hit one on the day before his 43rd birthday.
Wow.
And remember last week I talked about the first walk-off inside the park grand slam home run that was hit by Roberto in 1956. So you can see that it's something that Pirates have been involved with for over 100 years.
Tony Perez is Cuban, right? Yeah, he's Cuban.
I know he's Latin
Yeah,
American.
he's Cuban.
You're not claiming him?
Smoking Jim, what are you even thinking about?
right.
This is Chip's trivia time.
You know,
How did that even come out?
we've talked about the Lou Gehrig's and Cal Ripken's Ironman records, and they both Lou Gehrig over 2,400 days.
Latin American.
No, there they are.
Just clarifying this for Smoking Jim.
Steve Garvey of the San Diego Padres on July 29th, 1983, ended his National League record of 1,207 consecutive games. The streak ended when he dislocated his thumb in a collision with Atlanta pitcher Pascual Perez.
Wow.
Lou Gehrig's streak was at least twice as long as Steve Garvey's, and
That's amazing.
then Cal Ripken Jr.'s eclipsed that. July 31st, 1990, Nolan Ryan, at 43 years of age, won his 300th game, reaching the milestone in his second try. Something to be taken note. I believe that Nolan Ryan is one of the greatest pitchers that ever played the game. And, we talk about pitcher specialization and pitch counts, and Alan mentioned that it would be nice if a Pirates starter could get maybe 5, possibly 6 innings.
Yeah.
Okay, and I agree with him. I think it would lead to a lot more baseball games. Well, in August 1st, 1906, Harry McIntyre of the Brooklyn Dodgers pitched 10 2/3 innings of no-hit baseball before Claude Ritchie of the Pittsburgh singled. McIntyre weakened in the 13th and lost 1-0 to the Pirates on an unearned run.
Wow.
So he pitched 13 innings and 10 2/3 innings of no-hit ball, and that will never show up in any record book. And here's one from
Except Chip Surya time book.
and here's one because I like to throw a bone occasionally. I always pull out something new and exciting about Babe Ruth for Alan, and then I like to throw Jim a little one and just to
on anything in baseball.
Yeah, and this is Pete Rose related, and on August 1st, 1978, Pete Rose went 0 for 4 against Atlanta pitchers Larry McWilliams and Gene Garber to end his 44-game hitting streak, 12 games shy of the unbreakable record of Joe DiMaggio. And I thought
44 never get broken either.
Well, it hasn't since. That was in 1978. Also, August 1st, 2009, Andrew McCutchen put his name on the map by hitting 3 home runs against the Washington Nationals. Career high 6 RBIs to help Pittsburgh rout Washington 11-6. And that's going to do it for tonight.
One question.
That's going to do it for the trivia. For
Can
this
we
evening.
call Pete Rose's 44-game hitting streak the modern game record?
No.
You know how they do their adjust for it?
No, because the modern era of baseball,
He doesn't
it's
even know.
considered now. And besides that's only a National League record. The Major League record. That's the longest hitting streak in the National League. But
There's two leagues.
the junior circuit, which is the
American
American League, that's where the real record stands
Oh,
at
that
56
don't
games.
count. Who cares
Yes,
about
it
that?
does.
With Pete Rose. Nah, you're on the page. I'm glad you held up on biting that last piece of pizza to get that question answered. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. And now we'll go to On Location. Next week we'll be at Atria's PNC Park, 7 o'clock to 8. Stay tuned for that show. And we're there each month, and we'll be back again on the 29th of the month. Since they have some home games there, we'll be there on the 29th, 7 o'clock to 8. So the 8th and the 29th, be at Atria's PNC Park. See you all there. Great venue for sports, as you know, inside PNC Park. Can't beat it. They got specials to eat. Smoking Jim has a favorite, the Talking Machine Big Mouth Burger.
Love it.
We'll have to set aside some time to chew on that. So, thanks. Well, Smoking Jim, I'd like to delve a little bit more into the Cuban boxers and the Pittsburgh boxers there. And I did see one of our friends, Rosie, lost in a decision. What kind of fight was that?
Well, he lost.
Yeah,
But he fought his heart out. And all the Cuban fighters seem to be not only taller than their Pittsburgh counterparts, but much taller. And but Rosie fought well
How do
enough.
they do that?
I think that, in my opinion, the toughest thing to do is to get down to a fighting weight and that still have your strength. So the taller you are, like you're what, about 6'1" now?
6 foot.
Now say 6, I'll say 6'1". Say
Thanks.
say you come down to 147, you'll be real weak. But the Cuban fighters, whatever they do, they can have a height of somebody 210, but bring their weight down to 147 and still be strong. And that was the difference. That's how these guys get to be
Because I heard how
taller.
tall they
Has
are.
anybody verified the birth certificates of these young Cuban fighters?
Yeah, President
Because
Obama did.
you know me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm
President
just
Obama
thinking maybe
did.
we're
Yeah.
stacking the deck. Because we're this little bitty island nation off the coast of the United States, Florida. We want to make our mark. Plant their flag.
Well, we need to find out how many TVs they actually had.
6 million. That was pretty
They
impressive.
might only
number.
have 6 million in the country, but
Yeah.
they weren't all on. Some people may have been
I don't
working
know.
or
I
sleeping.
don't know how they would be able to understand me. I didn't speak Spanish, but
They have translators. They would have
right
taught.
on their box.
Yeah, you can switch it. You have a Spanish thing on that 108-inch flat screen TV.
108.
Yeah,
It gets bigger and bigger.
that's huge.
But Rosie did a good job. He announced that he's going to turn pro,
Is he?
and
Nice.
I'm all for that. He's a Marine. He's tough and
Was a great guest on the show.
outstanding guest, nice as he could be, and so the biggest knockout though, there was no standing 8 counts the whole night,
What?
but there was one knockout. JT the Brick,
Get on.
and
He knocked out his opponent.
He got knocked out in the first.
He got
round.
knocked out.
I mean, this guy, the Cuban fighters go to the body, and we know that the body sets up headshots.
Yes, it does.
And they dig to the body, and then he caught JT with a left hook, and JT was out. But on his way down, the Cuban decided to throw a right uppercut just to make sure.
Just to
and,
finish him off.
Yeah, I mean, there was towels being thrown in from all over.
Really?
And
Luckily, he wasn't hurt.
luckily, although I wanted to see how that concussion protocol worked.
They do that after the fight to get
After the fight, I wanted to see.
They interview you.
I wanted to see him go to Allegheny General because we have something set up there.
Yeah.
According to the commissioner, Rick Staggerwall.
Exactly.
So that's what I wanted to see, but I didn't.
You can't always get what you want.
Can't always get, and JT was very upset after the fight. He was really mad that they threw in the towel. And a lot of times when you get knocked out cold, you lose track of time. So you don't know. When you wake up, you just think you're out a second. But, he was out.
Yeah.
And he got up, and I tell you what, he was fighting, man. I mean, he got that big afro, man. Man, boy, he got to shaking that thing, man.
Did he?
Yeah, boy, he wasn't real happy, but he was knocked out.
Did they didn't have 11 fights.
Yeah, 11 fights.
They did have 11?
11 fights, and it looked like, I tell you what, Wade Lipscomb. I've never met a man that liked money more than Wade. Wade is a petroleum engineer. He's a real estate agent. He's part owner of a barber shop, which it looks like he cut all the Cubans' hair for a price. And in between fights, he was selling raffle tickets. So I've never seen a man. He was selling raffle tickets. So I've never seen a man that loved money as much as.
And I guess none of them were winners, right?
yeah, I didn't buy that. I didn't get a chance to buy that.
None of them won.
They called him at the end.
Yeah. Well, don't call us. We'll call you, right?
Yeah.
I got it. But the crowd was really good out there?
It was a great crowd? It was standing bridge only. Matter of fact, I was afraid that we might have had a few jumpers.
Why?
Because there was people, because once all the seats were, there's people sitting on the side of the bridge, and I thought for myself, holy heck, man, somebody really wants to make the news.
There's a railing though on each side.
I think you can get up over that.
People have climbed up on there, sure.
Yeah, you can do the Frostberry flop and get yourself over that.
No.
Who even does that anymore?
I do not need to find out what the temperature of the Allegheny River is.
Yeah, man, I thought maybe somebody make a name for themselves,
Well, they didn't. Obviously, they didn't. It didn't report anything on the news, and you didn't jump.
When the Pirates won that wild card play-in game in 2013, and walking back to the other side of town from I could have swore there was people going to jump off the bridge that night. Wow. It was so insane.
Yeah.
Part of the Polar Bear Club.
Yeah.
Polar Bear was not in October, Jim. Polar Bears are out there on January 1st.
Where do you come up with this stuff? Bits and pieces of the news. What else do you have on Cuba and the local fighters then?
It was great. Like I said, trying to think of some of the other fighters. Like I said, Wade did well. He lost.
What about our man Paul?
Paul, tough as they come. He's softball.
Yeah.
And I was able to see his dad before the fight, mom and dad,
Glad
his
you
other
guys
brother.
reconnected.
Yeah, so that made me real happy. But Paul just couldn't get that connect that left with the inexperience. But I tell you what, for him to go the distance and really not get hurt against a really experienced Cuban fighter that had probably 300 international fights. I tell you what, I think
can't even be serious. 300 international fights.
Yeah, these guys.
Well, they don't have the regulatory commissions that you have here in the States. They have a guy who probably fights 4 or 5 times a week.
Oh yeah. That's their job.
That's all he does. He fights. Probably didn't get enough money to buy breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could really tell the Cuban apart from Paul. Paul didn't get much sun when he was over in Havana. But
did that matter in the fight?
No, it didn't matter. But I tell you what, I think Paul got a future in boxing if he sticks with it.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for the report, Smoking Jim Frazier.
You're welcome, Mel Levine, to talk. And I went to Actrias a few times. Our coach from Penn Hills asked about you, and then I'm standing there, and who comes over but Johnny Angel?
Get out.
Yeah, Johnny Angel came. Gave me a hug and said his new store's getting ready to open up this week or next week. And
he wants Jimbo to stop in.
He wants Jimbo to stop in, and then and Jimbo's going to stop it. And as soon as I find out where it is, he said Manchester. But then I seen the Lumberjack, And
I saw that nice photo.
Greg
with you
Rudolph,
two.
yeah,
And
you
his
did.
beautiful girlfriend and his daughter was there.
Fiance, yeah. He's getting
Fiance?
married. Yeah, they're getting married soon.
Yeah.
Really?
They're getting married soon, yeah.
Wow.
That's a fiance.
Wow, because
Yeah.
I mean, this guy can do it all. He can beat cancer and everything. He said, "Oh,
Yeah.
he beat
I'll tell you
cancer."
what, the way you beat anything is you just keep fighting.
Really?
Don't ever give up. That's it.
Lumberjack ain't got no quit in him.
No, not
Doesn't
at
even
all.
know the meaning of the word.
Nope.
Good guy.
So that was it. Actrius was one of the sponsors of the event.
Nice.
So I didn't know that.
Wow, you found out. You're an investigative reporter.
And like I always say, it's not much to do in Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh got some of the most beautiful women on the planet.
I knew that was coming.
And I'm going to try to find out how the women in Havana compare.
When are you going?
Probably right after the Olympics, my guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
My guess.
don't-
I got to
don't-
get a passport yet.
Don't be bringing
Give me time
don't
to
be
get-
bringing the Zika back with you.
I don't know what
He
that
don't know
is.
what it-
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Watch
brother.
out for the mosquitoes. They're big enough to
I
carry.
just hope I come back. I got a feeling I might go down there and fall in love.
Wow.
I
What
see
about
some-
all these girls up here?
I seen that Humphrey Bogart movie down there in Havana. Here,
In
and
Havana.
that what when he said, "Here's looking at you, sweetie," wasn't that Havana?
No, that was
Where's that at?
No, that
that was
in France.
Casablanca.
That's where I want to go. Same thing.
that was
ain't it?
Gaza.
That
Yeah,
was in
no, that
North
was in North Africa. Just a few miles east.
It was across the pond.
Just a few miles east.
Little disclaimer, folks. Sometimes we run off the path. If this is your first time watching the show, I don't even know where he's coming up with any of this stuff.
Oh, jeez. Bogart, nonetheless.
With Lauren Bacall.
So,
Wrong movie.
getting back to our sports, we had quite the flurry of activity yesterday. Major
Yeah.
League Baseball trade deadline. Pirates had an absolutely miserable weekend in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is one of the worst teams in baseball this year. They didn't even play Ryan Braun, and Jonathan Lucroy, who's their all-star catcher, basically didn't play because
didn't need to.
they were shopping, and we just couldn't get anything together. And, there's a lot of frustration going on within the Pirates universe right now. And I think a lot of it is right at a focal point of somebody that we expected a lot more from, who's been, an all-star performer for the last 6 or 7 years, and that's Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen is having a subpar year, and, I'm hearing a lot of complaints about the way the umpires are calling balls and strikes. And, here's what I'm getting a little sick and tired of is, it has now gotten to the point where it sounds like it's whining to me. You may have made a point at the beginning, Bart, but continuing to harp on that while you're still continuing to strike out 2 or 3 times a game, you need to just focus your energies on playing the kind of baseball that you're capable of playing, and quit trying to find somebody that's the cause of your troubles. Everything starts and ends with yourself, and it's getting a little tiring to hear it. It's actually a little bit embarrassing. I expected a lot more out of him, and I do expect Andrew McCutchen to perform at the level that he has performed the last 2 months of the season. And the Pirates are still not out of the playoff contention. They are still 1 game above 500. They're battling. They're only 2 or 3. I don't think 3 or 3.5 games out of the second wild card spot. So a lot is going to depend on what happens with the pitching staff over the next few weeks. We've got Garrett Cole pitching tonight in Atlanta. We're going to have Ryan Vogelsong pitching one of these games. He's back off of that horrific facial injury he had. Took a fastball off of his left cheek. Jeff Locke's going to get another chance to pitch.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, here's the thing. Jeff Locke, when he's bad, he's bad. But when he's good, he can be an adequate starter. They gave him some time off. He's been working on some things. You know what? You're not going to throw the towel in on him just yet. We just simply don't have enough healthy arms in the starting pitching staff. So, the Pirates, what they need to do now is they need to circle the wagons. They need to, pull together as a team and to say, you know what, we're better than this. We're floundering here.
Let's pull it together.
The predicament that the Pirates are in
has been created by the players. Everybody wants to say it's caused by Bob Nutting or Clint Hurdle or Ray Searage or whoever else you want to point the finger of blame on, but it boils down to the players performing on the field. And, you know,
When you're not doing
but
it.
the bottom line is people are underperforming. And, you know, they need to play better, and the players need to be held accountable. It's unfortunate that we had to get rid of Frankie Liriano. It's unfortunate that we couldn't keep Mark Melanson around. But the fact of the matter was, you know, we had to do what was best for the team. And you know, having those two weren't going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Liriano was going to continue to contribute to the losing ways that we had.
Yeah.
And Melanson only got 2 months left of him being under contract. For us to be able to tender him an offer at the end of the season would have been $16 million. The Pirates are not going to pay $16 million to a guy that's going to play 1/3 of the games for the season. When you've got Andrew McCutchen who's making $13.5 million, he's an everyday player. You know, you can't.
Right.
You know, that screws up the salary structure, and then you've got infighting among
It's not
things.
going to happen.
So, you know, at least we got something back from Mark Melanson. In the bullpen, as far as closers and setup men, that was the one place that we had the depth in the pitching staff. So, you know, I mean, we got something for Melanson, and that did make sense. But it's time for them to, like I said, circle the wagons.
Now that the roster is set in stone, you think the Pirates now can bring Josh Bell up?
I believe that they're going to bring him up, and I bet you it's going to be sooner as opposed to later. John Jaso, who has played an excellent defensive first base this year,
That's not
is not batting well. And what we need productivity. We need to get Josh Bell's bat in the lineup. Jaso has been, you know, he's a huge improvement over what we had the last 2 years in first base defensively. You know, they take that as a shot at Pedro Alvarez if you want, but I mean, you know, Jim said it's the easiest position on the field, and he couldn't even play it. So,
So much for that logic.
yeah, so much for that logic. But you know, the Pirates still have a solid lineup. Their position players, right, center, left. You know, first, second. Now, you know, another one of these players that we need to see better performance out of is Jung Ho Gong.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to get his head back into the game. I don't know if he's preoccupied with the investigation that's going on because of
would
what
be.
happened in Chicago.
I would be.
But you know, and if that's the case, then you need to sit him down, put Freeze at third. If you need to call up Josh Bell up, throw him over at first base. Freeze has proven to be an adequate, much more than adequate third baseman, and he's a veteran hitter, you know, and Gong can get himself figured out as to what's going on. But you know, I'd like to see a little bit more of Adam Frazier playing second base.
Now you're talking.
With Josh Harrison playing. You know, I think they make a nice 1-2 punch. But you know what? You get these young kids in here. I mean, baseball is all about how you perform on the field. And if you're not getting it done, there's somebody there that's going to take your position. And, you know, that's just the way
What
of
do
the world.
you think about McCutchen sitting him down for a while?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's
Set
interesting
down
that you
tonight.
mentioned that because after an off day, McCutchen's sitting tonight. He's out of the lineup for tonight, and he wasn't very happy about that. And, you know, a lot of Andrew's frustrations stem from his lack of performance on the field.
Sure.
And because he's the face of the franchise, he's a lightning rod, he's getting a lot of criticism that he's not used to getting. And
Sure.
I think that that's affecting him adversely, and I hope he can find a way to, you know, what do they call it? Mike Tomlin calls it the white noise. Drown out the white noise and just focus on doing the things that he knows he's capable of doing.
Sure.
Do you think he regrets cutting his hair?
No. He colored it a little bit. He
Well,
had some
yeah, well,
color in his hair. I noticed that. He showed it
The
off.
dreadlocks didn't help the young man that was boxing on the other night, right? When he almost got his block knocked off. So, you know, I'm all in on the Pirates. I've been a lifelong Pirate fan. I've suffered through winning seasons. I've suffered through losing seasons. You know what? I'm looking forward to the last 2 months of the season. I'll be down at PNC Park Friday night, Saturday night, next Thursday afternoon. I'm going to still get down and support my team. I love baseball. I love that park. And, you know, the Pirates are putting a good product out. So
I'm still going to say
don't sell yourself
World
short and not go.
I'm still saying World Series.
You don't seem confident.
You know, Jim, here's what I think: the Pirates have the ability to make the playoffs this year with our current pitching staff the way it sits right now. I don't think we have a pitching staff that's going to get us any distance in the playoffs. Now, what's going to happen over the next couple of months if the pitching staff solidifies itself? Because you need to have a good 1-2 punch with your starting pitchers. Garrett Cole has been, you know, he's pitching well, but not good enough. And, you know, and who's going to be that other person that's going to step up and become the number 2 starter? You know, without that kind of, you know, 1-2 punch, you're not really going to get far, you know, in the playoffs. So that's where I think the World Series may be a stretch. But let me tell you this, crazier things have happened. You know,
that's why there's 162
they,
games.
They play 162 of them and then some. So we're going to find out what happens. I'm
and
just
they all
going
mean something.
I'm going to enjoy the ride. That's all.
There you go.
Well, I'll watch until football season starts.
No, really.
Next Friday.
I thought football season started this weekend with the Packers in the Hall of Fame game.
That'll be good. I'm talking about the Steelers season. That's
Oh,
Friday.
okay.
Against
So you brought up the
Steelers
Steelers.
now.
So we got training camp going on now. I'd like to hear any inside information that you have. I hear
He's been too busy.
The Silverback had a little bit of an ankle injury yesterday, and Senquez Golston seems to be snake bit. He missed all of last year's shoulder surgery, and then third day of practice, he's got a Liz Frank injury in his foot. They say minimum 12 weeks.
Oh, Sugarfoot. I'd send him back to Mississippi maybe. But some guys just can't stay healthy. Never got. He played 2 sports in college at Mississippi, football and baseball. Was a great baseball player. But sometimes we talk about the curse. Sometimes you come up here and get cursed.
You want to hear something interesting? I was listening to Dick Groat being interviewed on the radio, and he does the play-by-play for Pitt basketball.
Smoking Jim hears him on the radio all the time.
he was a National League MVP, won the World Series with the Pirates and the Cardinals. He played Duke basketball for Duke. Wasn't he actually in the NBA? Was he? Was he not?
Dick Groat, yeah.
And you know what he said is that when they were kids, he said he played every sport there was. That's all we did. We constantly. He goes, I never lifted a weight in my life. He never lifted weights, not ever in his life, and he's probably one of the best athletes on whatever field he played on, whether it was on a hardwood or on a grass. And he says he thinks it's what's wrong with the athletes of today is that they focus on one sport. They don't, they're not well enough rounded to be able to take it and subsequently get the injuries and everything. And I don't know, maybe there is something to that, because I know when I was a kid, we played whatever sport we played it 12 hours a day, every day of the week, and we never had sore arms,
It just kept going out.
Black and blue marks, stuff like that. I mean, we didn't have the injuries that you see happening now.
Well, the difference in Dick Groat's day, and I understand that my dad says the same thing, but the difference is that he was competing against other Americans. Now, college is a worldwide sport.
Yep.
So you have to concentrate on basketball because you got guys coming in here from Africa, Europe, China,
Cuba,
competing for your scholarship.
Cuba.
Money, Cuba.
So getting back to the Steelers. Now we've got the talk around camp is what are the Steelers going to do about AB? He's got 2 years left on their contract. Kevin Colbert says we're not going to renegotiate with 2 years left. Do you think that the Steelers need to do something to make him happy, like give him more money this year before they renegotiate next year? Should they just go ahead and open up the checkbook for him? Because you look at what he's doing. He's outperforming every wide receiver in the NFL. And have you ever seen any bad ink on him?
Well, everybody knows Kevin Colbert's one of my good friends, but he's the biggest rat in the game. First of all, I'm mad at him. Last year, remember, AB held out minicamp for one day, and they implied that they would redo his contract this year. Kevin Colbert's lying already because he had 2 years left on his original deal after his second year when they upped his contract
And
when
then
they
the
wanted to
6-year.
stick it to
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace. Now this is a guy they know he won't hold out, but if I was AB, this is the best time of your life to hold out. He won't do it because he loved the game, but you already have Martavis Bryant. That's out for the season. Le'Veon Bell's probably going to miss 4 games. And you got Heath Miller, who's retired.
Yeah.
So, and then his replacement, Green,
On the
has
pup.
an ankle injury.
On the pup, yep.
So this is the best time for him to hold out. He won't do it. I think it's ridiculous for them to come out and say, to divide the team and say, we don't renegotiate anybody's contract with 2 years left unless they're a quarterback. Well, this is a special player. He's a 3-time Pittsburgh Steelers team MVP. Every year he goes back and returns punts for you. What superstar does that? Because they can't draft a punt returner, and everyone they drafted, like Dre Archer, can't catch a cold butt naked in Alaska. So I think that this is the hardest working guy maybe since Rocky Bleier that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had. So why don't you reward him?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jim.
Help a brother out, HBO.
No, I think if anybody has earned the right for them to take a chance on, because you look at Le'Veon Bell and his follies, and then Martavis Bryant. How could you trust them to sign them to a big signing bonus?
Right.
Because you're going to give them 10 or 15 or 20 million up front. Then what are they going to do? They're going to end up getting busted with 7 pounds of weed in the back of their car.
Le'Veon Bell makes a rap video with Snoop Doggy Dogg, and then we're surprised that he's coming up positive.
No surprise. No, I got to agree with you guys that AB's trying to be above board and have class.
Well, and they've got other problems too, because Ben has said, and like your opinion on this, that this is the best offensive line that he's gone into training camp with in his entire career with the Steelers. Well, that being said, David DeCastro last year was a Pro Bowler, and this is his last year. And and the Steelers need to do something with that, because guards like Castro, they don't grow on trees. They don't come around all the time. You've seen what's happened to Ben in all the years that he didn't have protection. And as he gets older, it takes you longer to recover from those injuries.
Yeah.
When you're 25, it's real easy. When you're 35, they hurt a little bit more. So
here's another point on AB. His behavior is good with the Steelers, and how he acts, how he carries himself, how he trains himself. Wouldn't you want to reward somebody
Yes, sir.
that is showing the positivity
Yes, sir.
to the team?
And he hasn't done a single thing to embarrass the organization, or you just look at him, and right now
So what
children
if he
could
brings
look at
a
him and
Rolls
say,
Royce in?
so
that's
what?
black and gold?
What if he's going to afford
He's
it?
had one each year.
Yeah, if he can afford it, God bless him.
But I mean, it's been in a positive light for the team.
Right.
So,
I
I look
honestly
at it,
think-
you'd be rewarding a guy who's a good guy to
Yeah.
your team, instead of these other guys like you're saying,
Good
Le'Veon
point.
Bell
Good
and
point.
whoever else.
No,
May not.
I think that'd break the bank for him, and he would be worth every cent of it.
I agree.
Well, we got to see what cap they have. What kind of cap room do they have? 'Cause they're
they can
usually
get
tight.
creative. They can get creative. They'll backload that contract where he gets $75 million in his last year, but they'll end up giving
It'll be
him his
like
money
Bobby
up front.
Bonilla. It'll be like Bobby Bonilla getting it for 30 years.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla getting $1.17 million
Wow.
every July 1st
Wow.
until 2029, I believe.
Well, that's a bicentennial moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Bicentennial. Where do you come up
I'll
with
tell you
that?
what,
Oh, man.
I'd
on
make
fire.
sure the agent to sign that contract for me, and
And he still gets a commission on it.
Yeah, I'd be calling him up every day, thanking him, say thank you.
Well, it ain't as good with Bill Fralick, but Bill Fralick gets paid for life by the Atlanta Falcons. So.
For life?
Yeah, for life, yeah. So
Hey.
that's a good deal, too. I'm sure he didn't negotiate it. But
No.
but whoever his agent was did a great job.
No, that's good stuff. What else do we got here? We covered Steelers, Pirates.
We've got college
boxing.
football coming up, and and I think one of the biggest disservices that in college football that there could possibly be. I'm going to say this probably every week from now until the end of college football
Pay the
season.
athletes.
West Virginia, Penn State, and Pitt should all have to play each other
Thank you.
every year as part of two of your non-conference games.
You got
are
my vote
against
for governor.
Penn
If you
State
were
and West
governor, you'd take
Virginia.
care of
Governor.
That's what they tell Narduzzi. That's what they tell Holmgren. That's what they tell the Franklin up in there is no two ways about it. That's what would make the Western Pennsylvania rivalries. That would renew those because
I
then the
agree.
kids that played against one another in high school are now going to be going against each other in college, and subsequently some of those players are going to end up in the pros. So I mean, it
agree.
could do nothing but help every university.
Count
I
me
don't
in.
understand.
Count me
I
in.
can guarantee you that Pitt has 2 home games with Penn State and West Virginia. Bam, 2
Sold
sellouts.
out. Sold
two
out.
two sellouts, and they won't have to wait till every 3 or 4 years when Notre Dame comes around, or say Florida State comes into town before they get another sellout.
Yeah,
They can stick the cardboard cutouts out for the other home games.
they will. They will do that. You don't have to worry. They got a lot of seats to fill. Smoking Jim, what do you think of that?
I agree. I agree.
That makes it unanimous, folks.
I think if Lynn Swan would have been governor instead of athletic director at USC, he would have made that happen.
No, it's just a sin that it doesn't happen. Forget about the reason why it got to where it's at. All those actors are gone. They're out of it. So you know what? Let's
New faces. to do
new
it.
faces, new traditions. Let's start it all over again.
Sounds like a plan. I think we got answers to that. We answered the Pirates, the Steelers,
Touched on the college football
college
scene.
football.
And
Locally.
Penn State got the best.
Plus, we had the Pittsburgh Cuban connection with our dear friend Jim Frazier.
Yeah.
And Penn State has the best assistant head coach in all of college
There
football,
you go.
Terry Smith. Yeah.
Terry Smith, yeah, why he's going to take Franklin's job? Is that what you're thinking? Is he already working on it?
Smoking Jim's a loyal man.
I'll tell you what, the Penn State fans have not been very impressed with his first 2 years. As a matter of fact, he took a quarterback as an NFL caliber quarterback and really stunk the place up with him the last 2 years with Christian Hackenberg.
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien was accomplishing some things with him. I'll be interesting to see how he fares as a pro.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I think he can do it.
Well, Bill O'Brien didn't draft him, so that tells me a little something.
No, that's because they already signed that Ostweiler to a big
I
contract.
think that was before, or was that?
That was
That was
Before the
before
draft?
Yeah, Osweiler.
That's the
But
reason why.
how does starting 7 games on a team that had the best defense in football last year warrant getting $60 or $70 million?
You're big, tall, and you're white. That's how it does it.
See, he brought race out again.
He was talking about my shirt.
He was talking Osweiler.
Napkins.
I don't know how he covers it. Smoking Jim, you do it each week. Any last words, Smoking Jim?
No, sir.
You covered it all.
I think so.
Chip, anything?
I'm going to be pulling for my Buccos, man. I'm going to fight with them till the end.
Our Buccos.
Our Buccos, yes, sir.
I'm in on the Buccos, too. I still drink that Kool-Aid ever since you gave me that unsweetened purple Kool-Aid.
That was funny stuff.
Congratulations to Brett Favre going in the Hall of Fame. Greatest football player of all time.
That's good, too. Thanks for getting it in. Any last-second
And
additions
let's
here?
not forget the Snake is finally ended up in Canton.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give him his props. One of the best quarterbacks of the 70s.
We're running out of time. Thanks, Hayden, the intern, on camera, Devin Shea in the control room, Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip Hayner. I'm Al Levine saying goodnight and stay Joey strong.